He's dropping truth bombs like always.
I haven't even changed that from the other day. So.
We appreciate you waking up from your nap for joining us, buddy.
Thank you. Yes.
I ain't lying, but doing the roundtable something different, man, because that's what we do here on the Recher podcast. We're flipping the script.
It was my idea.
I just said that. I just gave you.
Yeah,
credit.
he was giving you props.
If your ass showed up on time, then you would have heard it.
Yeah.
But
make fun of me for sleeping until 12:29. You better give me credit for my ideas. That's all I'm saying.
Corey Long with a half good idea for the first time in his life. NHL.com. You can go check out his work there. All right, Royal Rumble. The reason why you guys are here, my favorite pay-per-view of all time. It just really starts off. It kicks things off as we go to WrestleMania season. Last year at Tropicana Field, just an incredible experience there. We saw Bayley win it. We saw Cody Rhodes win it. We'll get to the big matches here in a minute. I want to start right at the top with the championship match. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, the ladder match. You got the Winged Eagle. You got the official WWE Championship right next to it. Corey, we'll start with you. How do you see this match kind of shaking out? Does Cody retain? Does Kevin Owens somehow find a way to win this match? What kind of shenanigans or tomfoolery do you think we could be in store for?
Well, it's clear that Sami Zayn's going to be part of the match in angle in some form, and he's been slipping up, making some, being a little over emotional, nailing his friends with that Helluva kick. So that's going to be the difference maker. I don't know if he's gonna hit it on. My feeling is he might quote unquote accidentally hit it on his old best friend KO, and that will be the cause for Cody to win. I think Cody's gonna win. I don't think they're gonna go into WrestleMania without him having at least a year title reign under his belt. This isn't the time for him to drop anything. So, but it's definitely going to be a Sami Zayn. He's going to be the one that's going to cause the finish, however it happens.
What do you think, David? Do you think that's the way that it's going to go? Because I truly believe that's going to be it. We could be set up for a Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens WrestleMania match, but we've seen that before. So is there any adjustment to that, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really open to the creativity that could come from the finish of this ladder match. I just think right now, KO is putting on some of the best heel work that we've seen. I mean, wearing Naomi's shirt for a match against Jimmy Uso, the dude is putting on some of the best heel work. There has to be some sort of payoff. Okay, if he doesn't win the title, then what is it? You know what I mean? And even if there's a situation where you have Cody drop it, he doesn't have to drop it for long. He could get it right back, There is a scenario there. I think they didn't necessarily do this the exact way going into WrestleMania 33, but like it totally looked like, Randy Orton after winning the Rumble was like, okay, what is he going to challenge John Cena? Like, really? We've seen that a million times, but then they did the whole thing with like Bray Wyatt's going to take it and just kind of hold it so Randy can go over. So like, how do you want to do it? It depends, but I do think you just look story-wise. Hey, look, the story makes a ton of sense. Right? We saw KO fight the Bloodline. I don't know how many times. Then Cody comes in. Cody finishes the story and then teams up with Roman. Like, what are you talking about? So, like, Kevin's got a good point. And I think, look, if you're going to put him over, okay, well, this is the time to do it. Make the payoff there. And if you are going to involve Sami, then the payoff of that needs to be worthy of something. Their match at Mania is going to have to be last man standing. We've seen them face each other a ton of times already.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I love that. I think the best heel work is ones when there's seeds of truth in there. It's one thing if you're a chicken shit heel, as they call them, and you're running from everything. But when you have a legitimate gripe like Kevin Owens does, and he's looking around, and you could, to a lesser extent, Seth Rollins looking around going, what the hell is wrong with you guys? Didn't you just see the hell that this guy put us through for 3 freaking years? Now everybody's got this short-term memory like, oh, yeah, let's go help Roman and restore the bloodline. Like, I love it. I think the storyline makes a lot of sense. You're throwing up the ones there.
Just acknowledging them. Just acknowledging the tribal.
We're all acknowledging you.
I always acknowledge the tribal chief. That's right.
Matt, do you think Kevin Owens is the best heel right now in WWE?
I think he is certainly up there. There's no doubt about it. And I'm just absolutely thrilled for this match. And how cool is it that they made the announcement for the ladder match in Tampa when SmackDown was at Amalie Arena? The storyline and the storytelling is a big part of it. But the wrestling fan in me as well is I've always kind of gravitated more towards the hardcore matches, stipulations, tables, ladders, chairs, whatever. So I'm just so excited for two guys that always put it on the line when you have these stipulation matches. Like KO is going to take some gnarly bumps. He's going to do some crazy senton onto a ladder. Remember when Cody was in AEW and he took that cutter from Sammy Guevara in a ladder match? Like, that was insane as well. So I'm just excited for the match itself, regardless of who wins, just based on the theatrics that we're going to get from it. I kind of like your idea, David, with maybe KO wins, but then gives it back to Cody Rhodes, because KO, I think in a lot of promos, packages for various storylines, whether it was the last man standing match a couple years ago against Roman, like he puts the storylines on his back and does a lot of the work. And that's not taking away from all of the other guys. You know, he's the one that went up against Stone Cold in WrestleMania and took the loss. Like, at some point, Kevin Owens needs to be rewarded for all the hard work that he's doing. And even if it's just giving him the title for a little bit and you give it back to Cody, that's totally fine, because I think Cody needs to have the title going into WrestleMania, because it gives you a lot more options for what you want to do with that title when WrestleMania comes about. And we can obviously talk about those options when we get to the Rumble match itself. But the fireworks of just the hardcore nature, the ladders, I'm sure chairs will be in there as well, and other things. It's just going to be so much fun.
And I'm glad you said that about, like, you love the hardcore wrestling, you love the tables, ladders, and chairs, and anytime you say that, I think of the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, everything that they were able to do in the late 90s and early 2000s. But I like what you guys are saying, because one thing I do enjoy, and we haven't seen it as much, is and we saw with Jey Uso and Braun Breaker, where he was able to win, and then Braun was able to go back and win. Like, if you do that all the time, I understand that you maybe devalue the belt a little bit, right? But every once in a while, that guy, we always talk about, does the guy make the title or does the title make the guy? I think sometimes you need a little bit of a justification. Like, Jey Uso needs to have on his resume Intercontinental Champion. And I'm thinking of that same kind of thing with Kevin Owens, where him beating Cody and being the WWE champion, I don't think would be the worst thing. And what if Cody goes, hey, I want a rematch and I want it next Friday on SmackDown, and you have them go for like an hour on SmackDown and then Cody wins it back, right? Where you turn one of my favorite title changes ever. I think it was Batista and Jericho here in Tampa on Monday Night Raw in a steel cage match. Like, everybody's like, there's no way Jericho's going to win this. And he won. And everybody was like, holy shit. Like, that's what you want, to be surprised. You want that shock and awe. Let's go. I want to go through the tag team match real quick. Matt, we'll start with you. 2 out of 3 falls with DIY and Motor City Machine Guns. This is a match for like the old school, if you love independent wrestling, if you love TNA, if you have been following these guys throughout their entire journey, I mean, you just know, whether you are familiar with these guys because you're a little bit more of a casual fan or not, you are just going to get probably 25 to 30 minutes of some of the best wrestling and storytelling that you're going to see all night long.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing DIY. Their obviously storyline going back to NXT and, being a tag team and then turning on each other and all that stuff. It's always been very interesting. I'm not going to lie, though. I don't really know much about the other tag team, the Motor City Machine Guns. I know they beat the Bloodline and got the tag team titles, so I'm excited for just a good wrestling match, but I can't tell you that I have all the interest in the world in it.
They didn't beat the real Bloodline. You get it straight.
Yeah.
Like
2.0. Yeah, the other Bloodline.
So they didn't beat the real Bloodline. They beat the fall Bloodline.
David, what do you think about that tag team match?
Yeah, man, I'm somebody who dabbled in the TNA growing up. I remember the days of 6-sided rings, Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle and Christian Cage. So, Motor City Machine Guns, look, them coming to WWE, I think is about 10 years too late, but they can still go. We saw that clearly. They can still go. I like what they're doing with DIY right now. I think the tag team division is in a strong place. I think there are so many good stories just within the tag team division. It doesn't feel like they just have a couple of guys like, let's just put them in a tag team. Oh, okay, let's just throw them in a tag team. I think the tag team division really is in a good spot. And I think this match is going to cook. This match it's going to be one of those like, yo, that match was awesome. I don't think it's going to steal the show. It's hard to steal the show at the Royal Rumble when you've got not just one, but now 2 Royal Rumbles that you're competing with on that card. But I think that's going to be a match where like, yo, that match was legit. That was awesome. We've got 4 guys who, I mean, they can just flat out wrestle. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Court?
Yeah, it's 4 guys that have really, that have put in the work over a long period of time. That you got to think when they've all run a lot of different territories together. So the idea of them being on big show in a marquee position, probably going to get 18, 20, 25 minutes. They're going to put on a show. They're probably something they've dreamed about, and doing it with each other, doing it with people that know them inside and out. And I'm sure they've got a lot of stuff planned for this. I get a feeling that Gargano and Ciampa are trying to redo a lot of their NXT story on the main card, which tells me this might be where you see a title switch. I mean, I know obviously Ciampa's planted the seeds for a long time. He got Gargano to go with him, but I do feel like there's a one-on-one story they really want to tell, and this might be the beginning of it in terms of that. It was one that took a very long time in NXT that it happened. Ciampa, had an incredible run. He gets his neck injured. Gargano gets a quick title reign. They're away. They come back. Gargano turns on him the second time, creates the way, which, one of my favorite underappreciated little groups was the way.
Right.
And,
Austin Theory and Indy Hartwell.
Yeah, Indy Hartwell and Austin Theory.
Cutting off, but you got to do it.
Don't forget Dexter. Dexter was up in there at the end.
Dexter,
yeah. So, I think there's a really long form story they want to tell, and given at this stage in their careers, I'm sure that's important for both of them to have, some spotlight one-on-one matches against each other. So that's just my feeling. That's where the seeds to that might happen this Saturday. They might begin this Saturday.
And if they don't, maybe it's something that happens later on in the summer so they can establish some dominance so people can get invested. Because the big thing, and you remember one of the biggest turns ever was them at the top of the ramp in NXT, arm around each other, and Tommaso Ciampa just grabbed Johnny Gargano, and nobody saw that coming. That was a real late in the pay-per-view or PLE, and everybody thought they were going to go off air, and then boom, everything happened. It was like, wow, Tommaso Ciampa, going like this, just pissing everybody off. But yeah, great storyline. Some of the matches that they had, I think they had a empty arena match that was really good where Candice LeRae came in and hit him beneath the belt. So some really, really good stuff there. David, you brought up a point. I want to go right back to you here. We're going to give our predictions for the winners, but give me somebody that's going to steal the show. Not a winner, but somebody's going to steal the show in the men's Royal Rumble match and the women's Royal Rumble match.
Well,
that's a good question. I'm bringing this out of nowhere. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to start with the women's because I know that's the one where you get the most surprises just because roster wise, you can't you can't just throw everybody out there. We're going to see Jade. At least I think we will. You got to have that. I would like to see Jordan Grace. It was awesome to see her in the Rumble in person last year. So I think that's going to be great. CM Punk keeps teasing this whole AJ thing. Okay. Like, all right, let's see it happen. Let's make that happen. So I think the women's Rumble is going to be so good. Charlotte coming back as well. When it comes to stealing the show, truly, it's really hard to upstage the things that, like, if you really look at it, Bianca does in the Rumble. Because number one, it's always like when she comes in and gets her shine, the strength that she just displays. Like, it's always like, okay, who can I pick up now? Who can I, suplex now? Who can I just do, like, who can I just do a scoop slam to? Like, it's always something. Like, it's always something. And it's always a pain to eliminate her. If you look back too, it's never an easy elimination. I think last year the KOD on the apron to get Jordan Grace out, like stuff like that. That's all that stands out to me as like, yo, that was dope. Like, when I think back to that Rumble, I remember 3 things: Naomi's return, Bianca and Jade's stare down, you know, the KOD, like, so everything with Bianca, and then Chelsea Green just being hilarious, you know, like those are the three
Chelsea
things.
Green,
Chelsea Green absolutely has the ability to steal the Royal Rumble as well. Okay,
so you got Bianca.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say Bianca, and then Chelsea Green gets an honorable mention just because Chelsea Green is Chelsea Green. I think that's gonna be awesome. Men's wise, man, that's hard because the men's Rumble, it's like everyone comes in and kind of get their shine for a little bit, but there's usually that one guy who comes in and just starts eliminating everybody. That might be Braun Breaker again. I can see that. It might be Braun Breaker again, but dude, I'm trying to think if anybody else could really be that candidate, because like, sure, maybe Braun Strowman, but like, I don't know if you guys have been watching that live stream. WWE's just been showing random Royal Rumble matches 24/7 all week long. Every Royal Rumble I see, it's all the as soon as the biggest guy gets in there, everyone just gangs up on him, and like your side's advantage becomes a disadvantage.
Right.
So I don't know if I want to just be like, it'll be Braun Breaker or Braun Strowman. I think it might be Braun Breaker.
Okay, I like that one. All right, Corey, we'll go to you next. Stealing the show, men, women, who you got?
On the women's side, there were a few names that stuck out to me. I mean, and if you look, you know, in the 6-7 year of the women's Rumble, there have been a lot of coast to coast, whether they won or not. Rhea came in at 1, and Bailey did it from 1 last year. I think Bianca was a 1 or 2 and she won. I think Sasha came in at 1 and did a really long run. So someone's going to come in early and go 45, 50 minutes. Right now, Roxanne Perez is my real pick for that person that's going to really have a nice long stretch. Lyra Valkyria is another one that I think could really have a nice, long, impressive stretch. In terms of winning, I think I hear a lot.
We'll get to the hold on. We'll get to the winning
later. Okay,
let's do the steal the show ones first.
Okay, yeah.
Who's your steal the show for the men? You got Roxanne for the women.
I think is going to get a nice long run in there. Carmelo Hayes.
Mello, okay, Mello.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that needs to have a nice. I'm looking back at maybe the 18 Rumble when Finn Balor, I think, went over 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was a really good springboard for him. I think Carmelo's got that ability. And, I'd love to see someone from NXT come in. I'd love to see Oba Femi come in and just
shout out to 5-minute TB Punk Film saying Oba. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I'd love to see Oba come in and wreck shop and maybe get eliminated by Dom the same way Braun got eliminated by Dom last year. So, something funny like that, some good way for Dom to keep that wonderful heat that he has. So I think Melo is going to have a nice run this year.
What about you, Matt? Who's stealing the show, men and women?
So for the men's, I think he's going to be in the Rumble, and if he's not, I apologize. But it seems like the WWE has really been trying to build up Jacob Fatu for a while now. So if he gets into the Rumble, it just seems like they're going to be like, oh my God, he's crazy. And he's going to be the one to like eliminate 5 to 10 different people. Look at all this different movesets. A guy this big shouldn't be able to fly off the top rope the way that he's doing it. So he seems like the top guy to just go in and run the whole ring, run everybody out of town once he gets in. Oh my God, he's a psycho. Look what he's doing. Whatever Paul Heyman said about him back in the day, like he's not even allowed in prisons or whatever that case was. I'm also very curious because a staple of the Rumble for years now has been what type of like wacky stunt is Kofi Kingston going to do? But now he's a bad guy. So how do you incorporate that into the Royal Rumble this year, because people are booing the New Day and they don't want to see the New Day succeed. But also you have Kofi doing what he's done every single year in the Rumble. So I'm interested in that storyline, and that kind of carries over into the Women's Royal Rumble with Naomi, who also kind of has that spot with doing crazy things, crazy flips, staying on the rope, staying alive in the match. And now with this new wrinkle with her, tag team with Bianca, I think that could be very interesting as well.
All right, so you got Jacob / Kofi and then Naomi on the women's side. All right, so here's my kind of prognostication a little bit here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Brock Lesnar return. I think that would be one of those things that kind of just shakes everything. People would lose their mind. Another guy that we haven't mentioned that I think you talk about moments, Logan Paul is going to do something crazy, right? He's going to do something like we saw him in Ricochet do that thing. But I think the answer for this could be Penta, right? In his first Royal Rumble.
That's good.
Matt, you brought up the New Day. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I don't know for sure, but it would make sense if the New Day eliminated a guy or two, and then the music hits, y'all want to go big? And here comes Big E. He comes down. You can keep him kind of in a way where he's protected a little bit. Maybe you have them throw him out. But I think Big E's return after all these months, after all these years, rather, I think would be a huge show stealer. I'm with you guys when it comes to the women's side. I think it's about surprising. It's either the big Nia Jax going in there doing her thing. Hell, we could say the women on the men's side because we've seen women enter the men's Royal Rumble with Nia and how well she's done. I like maybe one of the new faces, whether it's Stephanie Vacker or Julia. I think maybe one of those two ladies coming up from NXT. That could be the answer. But I think the answer here, and we kind of touched on a little bit, is we just talked about her. Strong Jordan Grace. I think Jordan Grace. Now she just dropped the title over there in TNA. I think she's WWE bound. She is in insane shape. She's probably got the best physique when it comes to women in professional wrestling. And she had a before and after picture on her social media the other day. And I think Jordan Grace she is a game changer because I don't know where you put her when she's on the main roster, but I think she's going to go in there and it's not just going to be a moonlighting thing. She's going to go in there and she's going to kick some legitimate ass, some Rhea Ripley, some Nia Jax, some Jade Cargill, who I think could be another option as well. Returning. I mean, Jade and Naomi squaring off saying, hey, you took my belt, right? Are you the person that attacked me? I think is maybe the way that you go, but I'll go Jordan Grace for mine. All right. We'll finish it off with the winner. Who do you think is going to win this entire thing, men and women? Corey, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm down to 5. So, just the 5 that I think have the shot. I think it's going to be Roman. I think you're looking at Drew. I think Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and there was one more in there that
Jey Uso.
Excuse me. No,
Jey Uso. No,
not Jay. But there's one more in there. Definitely, I looked at it and said,
Sami Zayn.
Not Sammy, because I don't think Sammy's gonna.
Brock?
I don't think. See, like Brock, Big E, man, Lloyd's in London is gonna love you, man. Some guys don't think we're ever gonna get it cleared by an insurance company to compete in this thing again. No, Cena was the other guy out, and so the question comes down to, who's probably the title match. I would. Who's Gunther gonna go after? Who's Cody gonna, if he has a title? Like who's gonna be paired up to dance with who? They need a dance partner for Gunther, probably more so than Cody. There's a few names out there you can go with. So I am going to say that John Cena is going to win it. He's going to take on Gunther at WrestleMania, and he'll get his title shot there. I don't know if that will end the night. I don't know if that'll end night 1 or night 2. If it'll be a show starter. But that's where I'm leaning at right now. Leaning to John Cena.
And the women's.
The women's side, I think Charlotte gets a late number and wins. I think she gets a 30, 27, 20. I think she ends up I think Becky Lynch is also going to be in this Rumble. So that could be your final 2 right there.
What do you think, David? You're next.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Charlotte on the women's side. I just think I know it's kind of low-hanging fruit, but we haven't seen Charlotte in a while. It wouldn't make sense. And I think it would be really cool to see kind of the new blood versus the young blood and have her challenge Stratton for the title where, okay, you think it's Tiffy time, well, you're on the Queen's time now, something like that kind of thing. I think that would be actually really good. Cause dude, Stratton, I mean, they've put the rocket on her back. So, might as well, put her in the ring with Charlotte at Mania. I think that'd be great.
They're almost like clones. They're both going to put them with a gymnastics background that they do. They're really similar. They're so similar.
They're very similar. And I mean, first of all, as much as people like to just crap on Charlotte has aura. As much as people try to deny it, that music.
And look at what she's done in WrestleMania. She's done on bangers.
Yeah, man.
At WrestleMania. That match with Rhea is an all-time classic. Like her first match with Rhea in the empty arena was a great match. You know, her match with Asuka, amazing. Like Charlotte does not miss at WrestleMania.
That's what I'm
She's a
saying.
big game performer.
So you put her in the ring with Stratton, bro. I think that's gonna be fire. Like that's a good move. And then on the men's side, it really could be anybody. But I'm gonna tell you right now, you got to capitalize on something. Like one stat that I read. Roman Reigns has, every time he's in the Royal Rumble, he has always been in the Final Four. Period. I think Roman's going to be in the Final Four, but your Final Four has to be, in my opinion, Roman Reigns, John Cena, CM Punk. Just last year he was hurt in the Rumble, and I think you got to put Jey Uso in that Final Four.
Yeah. Yep.
Here's why. Even though he's had world title matches, right, and he's lost, he still has not lost his momentum. The dude lost on Saturday night's main event. His entire segment on Raw 2 days later was just his entrance. Place was rocking. Still, I remember going to the Rumble last year and then the Raw after Rumble at Amalie, had the place rocking. Like he's been doing that. We've been yeeting for almost 2 years, guys.
He's bulletproof right now, man. He's the hottest star right now. He's hot.
People and even though he's not on I think he's not officially on SmackDown, right? He still came out and did the dark match. People are paying to see his entrance. They're like, I want to see Jay. So they've put him in that role where like, we're gonna work you. Like people are paying. They just want to see your entrance. Okay, cool. Like we're gonna give them that. Okay, well, let's do something with it. I think you got to put him in the Final Four. Your winner, it really might be Cena. Like I know he's older and it's his last time. It really might be Cena. But I kind of like what he did with Roman a couple years ago, where it's like, dude, I don't have to beat you. I just got to pin you.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to really throw anybody over the top rope. He just got to make sure they get out and he stays in. So he could do it in a way where it's like, I see Roman and I see Jay on the apron. I might just push him.
Yeah, I like that. Matt, what do you got?
I love all the answers that have been given. I love Charlotte. Big fan of hers. I'm going to go in a little bit of a direction, though, and say Bianca Belair. It hasn't been the best season for her, taking a little bit of a back seat. But I think this is a great opportunity to kind of hotshot her once again for WrestleMania. And you talk about showing up with big performances at WrestleMania. Bianca Belair is one of those people that delivers time and time again when she wrestles at WrestleMania. So I'll take her for the women's one. Real quick for the men's. A couple of surprises that I think we might see. Yeah. Maybe one of the Hardy Boys, just because their connection with TNA now. And Jeff Hardy floated out that he wanted to wrestle Roman Reigns at some point. So I think maybe they'll do like a fun little quick nod to it of them like staring at each other or something like that. Also, don't rule out Bad Bunny. Just dropped the new album. Obviously talked about wrestling again, so it'd be a good way to promote the new album that just came out. And I love Bad Bunny, of course. So
great job, man. Terrible on Hot Ones. I don't know if you guys saw Bad Bunny on Hot Ones.
I only saw a brief clip.
Wasn't great. It wasn't great. It didn't. He was like eating ice cream like a cat. It was awful. It was awkward. I'm like, damn, bro, don't do this ever again. Get back in the wrestling ring. All right, sorry, go ahead.
No worries at all. And for the men's, I, again, completely agree with everyone. There are about 5 or 6 guys that you could pick to win, and they all make sense. But when I look at who I think is going to win, you got a long-term book a little bit for what's down the road at WrestleMania. So I want John Cena to win, but I think there's more there with like, oh, he didn't win the Rumble. Is John ever going to win a title again? Oh, well, what about Elimination Chamber or another stipulation or something like that? So I think they'll kind of run with that storyline a little bit more for John Cena. I'm actually going to pick Seth Rollins for this because Seth Rollins, again, has been a workhorse for this company for a long time. We all know what he did last WrestleMania, fighting both nights with the knee injury, putting over guys, going in the main event, maybe a little bit overlooked compared to Cody and Roman Reigns. And what I like about this WrestleMania as well is that it's not just all right, let's get back to Cody and Roman, another main event. And that's not a bad thing. I'm certainly not complaining. But if Seth wins, I think you can kind of put him with Gunther. And then that opens up a lot of roads, no pun intended, for what does CM Punk do with that favor that he still has in store? Does he use that to cash in for a WrestleMania main event against Cody? John Cena, when he came back for the first Netflix show, was like, do you want to see me fight Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania? And everybody went wild. So, like, that's open. There's also that dangling carrot of what about Dwayne The Rock Johnson? Is The Rock coming back? Then you can do Roman versus Rock or Rock versus Cody. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself into Punk winning, Roman winning, something like that. And then they have to immediately go against, because we're not going to get Roman versus Gunther at WrestleMania. That's just not going to be what it is. So you don't want to pigeonhole yourself, kind of like how it was last year. Cody won. All of a sudden, The Rock's like, yo, I want to wrestle again. And then you got into the whole situation. The fans want this. Creative wants to do that. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself again in that type of situation. So by Seth winning, you can put him off with Gunther, and that's going to be a banger of a match, no doubt about it. And then you can still have all the options for Cody, Punk, Cena, Roman, and potentially The Rock. So I think it just opens way more avenues by having Seth Rollins win.
Brother, you made one of the arguments today, bro. I like the way your mind is working there. I'm not going to get influenced by any of you guys, though. I initially think I think when you look at Charlotte and her wrestling Tiffany Stratton, that is like, it sells itself. Like, I don't even know if you need to write that, but I also don't know if you need to be able to tell that story at the Royal Rumble, right? You can let her go and build it up. Maybe she wins Elimination Chamber, right? Like, I agree. I think Bianca and Rhea is the matchup that we haven't seen on the with WWE. We've seen it in NXT, but we haven't seen that on the main roster. And I think that really, when you think about star power, I think about Becky Lynch, I think about Charlotte Flair, I think about Rhea Ripley, and I think about Bianca Belair. I think those are your four biggest stars. I know Tiffany Stratton's in there now, but I'm talking about household names. Those four girls are in there. Keep an eye out for Alexa Bliss's return. That's another one we got to keep an eye out. Like, they love pushing her, and we know that she can do whatever. Babyface, heel. Does she come back and she involved with the Wyatt Six, which I think has been a really disappointing storyline the last couple of weeks. We barely even talked about it. So I'm going to go with, I think it's between Bianca or Charlotte, but I'm going to go with Bianca because I think that's going to cause some of the dissension. And don't be surprised if we're talking about all these matches like they're going to be one-on-one. But we know this is the WWE. There's going to be a triple threat match. There's too many good people at the top of the card on both sides. So do we see a Reigns, Cena, Cody WrestleMania main event? Do we see a Bianca, Jade, Rhea triple threat match? Because think about those three powerhouses in one match. Like, that would be insane. I'm going to flip back. So bad. I'm going to go Charlotte. I got to go Charlotte, even though I would love to say Bianca. I wrote Bianca, but I think Charlotte against Tiffany Stratton. I talked myself out of it, talking myself back into it. I think those other two, because she is the tag team champ. I don't know if they'll have Bianca win it. They'll figure that out. For the men's side, I'm glad that I'm only one picking this guy. I love your argument, Matt, but CM Punk and Cody Rhodes is the number one story on the men's side, regardless of what anybody says with the Reigns and Rock, and there's a lot of uncertainty. I do think Brock Lesnar, Gunther is the match you make. If it's not Rollins, I think Rollins makes a lot of sense too for Gunther. Hey, I'm the guy that made the world heavyweight champion mean something. Look at how long I got it before I lost it to Drew, who lost it to Damian Priest, who lost it to Gunther. I like that match. I think one thing that's going to happen in this is CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, which they've been teasing this entire time. That's going to be the main event of one of these WrestleMania nights. Also, I think we're headed towards Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania in some form or fashion. And the reason why and how it's going to be done is that The Rock is going to put Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre is the guy that eliminates Roman Reigns. He's been kind of meandering on the periphery right now, fighting everybody else. But if you're bitching and moaning and you're picking off everybody else, you know, you're such a big tough guy, you're the Scottish psychopath. That's the guy you got the problem with. So look that man in his eyes. So don't be surprised if that feud with The Rock as the puppet master. Because if you remember, when Drew McIntyre re-signed with the WWE, I don't know if you guys saw this, The Rock bought him a huge ass sword that he delivered to him at a restaurant. And he promised that he was going to get it for him. He delivered to him at a restaurant. He said, "You're a man of your word." And I thought that was planting the seed of a payback, of a help down the road. So I'm going to go CM Punk to set up the match with Cody Rhodes, and then Charlotte to set up the match with Tiffany Stratton. Gentlemen, this has been a lot of fun. Any parting words? Matt, we'll start with you. Parting shots?
No, just kind of what you said from the beginning. I love the Royal Rumble as well. I love the surprises. You never know who's going to show up. It's a little bit of a nostalgia act as well. And I'm just super pumped for Saturday. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing.
How about you, David?
Man, one thing I miss about Royal Rumbles of old is just hearing all the great theme songs. Because last year I was hearing songs and I was like, who in the heck is that? I have no idea whose song that is until I saw the lower third. And I was like, oh, okay. I miss the old theme songs. I'm going to tell you right now, I would love in the middle of the Rumble just to get a, oh, radio. I want to pop. I want to pop, man. Come on.
He wants to pop. Corey.
It just makes me think that, you know, we probably were all at the last real sold out event at Tropicana Field. So pour one out for the Trop, and I'm glad that we all got to experience a Rumble here in the at the Trop before things went to hell. So
literally and figuratively, that is right. Matt Matera, Pewter Report, go check his stuff out there. David Schiele, 10 Tampa Bay, and our guy Corey Long, NHL.com. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for your time today. This was a fantastic chat. Let's do it again leading up to WrestleMania. How about it?
Absolutely.
100%.
Let's do it.
Throw up the ones. We're acknowledging the J Retro podcast. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.